Hey everybody, welcome. We are so excited to have you here. My name is Riggs Kay, and today we have got tons of new IMVU Studio tips to share with you. First of all, for those of you who are not familiar with IMVU Studio, we're going to give you an overview of the tool. And then we're going to get into more detailed topics and tips. We're going to show you how to use your camera tools, which is very exciting. Shortcut keys, which are brilliant. I learned all about that yesterday. And also share important information about dress up and publishing and setting your preferences. Then the final topic will be an introduction to our new Creator Education Center, which is totally revamped, and we are very excited about it. And last but not least, the stuff that you all love, the Q&A session. So you can ask questions you have about IMVU Studio. When you ask the questions, please use the Q&A feature. And remember to keep your questions on topic and GA friendly. You don't have to wait until the end of the session to ask questions. We'll be looking at them through the whole learning session. So feel free to ask anytime. And if you haven't downloaded the latest IMVU Studio product, we have a nice link for you to download it. Excuse me while I find my chat button. There we go.
Are you hinting at something, Riggs?
Just a little bit. Okay, so here is the link to download IMVU Studio. And if you're thinking to yourself, man, I've missed the first 5 learning sessions, I wish I could listen to those, I have got a gift for you, which is in the chat. Again, this is where you can find all of our past learning sessions and get caught up. All right, so now that we've got and one more thing, we are going to be recording this session for those folks who can't attend live. Now I am going to introduce our fabulous IMVU Studio experts. We've got Tonic, who is our IMVU Studio product director. Great to have you here, Ton.
Great to be here. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. And we've got Drosselmeyer, who is IMVU senior tech artist focused on IMVU Studio. Great to have you here today, Drosselmeyer.
Yeah, great to be here. Hi, everybody.
And now I am going to let our experts start walking you through IMVU Studio and sharing all those IMVU Studio treats. Take it away.
All right, let me just share my screen here real quick. There we are. Here's IMVU Studio. Great. So today, based on some of the feedback that we received from previous learning sessions, we had a lot of people in our learning sessions that were beginners, maybe never even used IMVU Studio before. And from the feedback, they kind of wanted us to do a learning session with just a basic overview of Studio, which I'm going to try to touch on. So that's what we're going to try to do for you today. And there's going to be some tips and tricks thrown in there that I think will benefit all levels of creators, but we're going to kind of concentrate on the beginner creators today. So that's why I'm at the home screen. And the first thing I just wanted to call your attention to, which is fairly new when we released 1.0, is this whole right side of the screen here, which used to be blank, but we filled it with a bunch of creator-related information. At the top, you see that there's your credits and your promo credits. Vcoin, which is our new currency that we're working with right now, and then dev tokens. If you're a brand new creator, you probably don't have any of these, but you can learn all about dev tokens in some of our discussion forums. There's also some really common links. The Creator Education Center, which Drosselmeyer is going to talk to you about after this session, and some links to creator news. Your creator reports will actually take you right to where you can see all of the sales of your products and the revenue that you're generating from your products. This is a link to the Earn Money program, which I won't get too deep into right now, but you can learn about that in our forums as well. Also, there's a creator ads program. a link to do peer reviewing on other people's products, and then some links to a first step in creating, which I highly recommend everyone goes and checks out, and that's how to make a t-shirt tutorial. And then below that is all, these will be updated all the time. I recommend everyone go here as much as possible, and it'll constantly be updated with sort of the latest information, stuff we want to tell you. Whenever there's a new release, we'll post it here. So that's sort of your kind of creator center here on the right-hand side. The big section in the middle here are all of your projects, and it's broken up into a number of different sections. The first section is your draft projects. So this is everything that I'm working on and have saved, but I haven't published yet. These are all of your drafts. Below that is a couple other sections. This is an example of products that I've submitted, but have not gone through peer review yet and are not fully published. So you can kind of track your project's published status from these next two sections here. Once one of these products go into peer review, it'll show up in the peer review section here. And then of course at the bottom are all of my existing published products. One thing to be aware of if you're already a creator, but you're new to IMVU Studio, the only draft projects that you're going to see up here in the top are the projects that you've worked on your computer. These are only projects that are local on your machine. But the published products you're going to see all of the published products that you've ever published, from the old creator tool or the new creator tool. This is all your published products. The next thing I wanted to go over, and just real quick, over on the left, if you want to narrow down, and if you have a published product or a draft product that you know the name of, but if you have a big long list of products and you've been creating for a while, sometimes I know some creators that have thousands of published products. That's why we give you the sort utilities here. You can sort by category, gender, published. There is a search field up here, and then you can also search for a specific PID, which is a product ID, if you know what that is. So the next thing I want to cover, and this is a point of clarity for both experienced creators and new creators just coming into the project, just coming into IMVU Studio, is the difference between a draft project. So that would be something that I derived from, I created, I saved it, but I haven't finished working on it yet. A difference between that and a already published product that I decide to open back up in IMVU Studio, make some changes, and then republish. If you go that route, there's a couple unique things to it, and I wanted to kind of explain it to you a little bit. So I'm going to take this product as an example. This is a product that's available in the catalog. It's published, and let's say I want to go back in there and make some changes. Maybe I want to add some normal and specular map to it. If I click on edit, it will bring the product in, and then as soon as I hit save on this project, it will save it. And then if I go back to my home screen, if you notice, let me put it last saved. Let's see. Yeah, test submit is new. it was the name of it. If you notice, it creates a new draft of your published product. So you're not working directly on an already published product. It creates a draft of it, and you know that one of your drafts is derived from a published product because you'll actually see the product ID here. So this is the product ID that this product is based off of. Very different than a draft product that's never been published before. Notice it doesn't have a product ID because the product ID doesn't exist yet. And there's a couple other features here, like you can edit and delete a draft, but a draft of a published product, you also can actually view the existing product page on it. And I'll go over the product page in a minute. So going back to this product, let's say I made some changes to it and I decide to save it and click on submit to resubmit that product with the changes that I've made to the catalog. When I hit submit, it's actually going to give me two options. I can resubmit the product like I was just mentioning, or if I want to, I can submit this product as a new product and it will create a new product ID and it will become a brand new product separate. So you have those two options when you're editing a published product and you create a draft from it. I hope that cleared up a little bit of how the system works. It's slightly difficult to understand. We're continuously making improvements in this section, and actually any advice or comments that you have to improve the home section of IMVU Studio, we much appreciate. So the next section I wanted to talk about, and that is Derive mode. IMVU is based on a derivation model, which means you as a creator can find any product in the catalog and derive off of that product and create new textures for that product, let's say, and then resubmit it as a new product. And everyone down from that derivation chain will actually get credit when that product is sold. That's our derivation model, and it's been our derivation model since we started the company back in 2004, and it's worked very well for us and our creator community. So if I want to derive from a product, all I have to do is click on the big create button here, or I can also click on the plus button over here on the side, which will create a new draft and put you into Derive mode. I'm going to go ahead and click the create button right now. This is Derive mode. And what it basically is it's our product catalog of all the products that other creators have deemed derivable. So as a creator, you can either allow or disallow your product to be derivable. And this represents the whole product catalog. So just like in home mode and just like in the product catalog, you can search for any derivable product based on the product name. This will search for the product name or the product keywords. You can search by a specific PID if you know what that product ID is. And then you also have filters here on the side. You can search by best match. You can search by latest products, which will highlight the newest products first. And then you can also filter by any category that we have in the catalog. Clothing, tops, bottoms, shoes, body breaks out into high air, eyes, eyebrows, heads, accessories, also the same categories for men, avatars, if you're looking for posed products or a dragon, is a good example. If you're looking for specific characters to turn your that you want to derive from, and then lastly, rooms and furniture. And this will filter by rooms and furniture. And then lastly, all the way at the bottom, if you have been creating for a little while and you have a favorite creator that you like to search for their products and derive from their products, you could actually put in the name of the creator here. I'll put in my name real quick, and notice my name comes up after I start typing. When I click on that, it will basically filter for just my products. And so if you have a favorite creator, that's a good way to find their products. And it's always a good idea to sort by the latest products so that you can see the newest stuff that they've uploaded to the catalog. So let me go back to, let me just sort by all clothing items. I think that'll do it. And let me sort by best match because I have something in mind that I wanted to use as an example here. So I'm looking through the catalog. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is the derivation chain model. And so as I'm clicking on products here, if you notice, it's showing you the whole derivation history on the right hand side. And what this means is, let's say this product that I just stopped on. This is the product that I would be deriving from if I clicked the Derive button, and this product was actually derived from this product, and this product was derived from a couple hidden products. Creators have a choice to make their products hidden or not. And then usually at the very bottom or very top of the derivation chain is going to be an IMVU product, and it's usually going to be sort of an empty derivable product. You can, of course, if you want to, if you look at this product and you say, yes, I want to texture map this halter top and I like it the way it is, you can derive from it and you'll go into our edit mode, which I'll go into in a moment. But let's say you are looking for something and you're looking for a little more details and some templates to be able to draw on top of. In that case, I would highly suggest, as you look through products, look for products that have higher up in the derivation chain a section or a product that looks kind of like this. If you notice, it's very blocked out neutral colors. And if I choose this product, you can actually choose the products in the derivation chain. If I look at this product, if you notice, it just has very primary colors. And this is usually an indication from our creator community that the person that created this product is a mesher, which means they created the base mesh of this product. And they're probably going to give you a bunch of extra tools to help you texture map your product. And the way that you can know that is if you go to the three dots here and go to View Product Page, it will go to our website. And this is where you can find a good description or advertisement of the product. And lo and behold, this product just happens to have templates that you can download and you can draw over top of. And it really helps you, especially creators that are trying to create very realistic items, to have the UV map template that they can download from. So I hope that helps. Just some tips and tricks as you go through the catalog and you're trying to find things to derive from. Let me see if I can find another one here. Oh, I clicked on this one and notice this is probably the same kind of product. It's a good one to derive from. I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to view the product page on this. And yeah, not as much information on this one, but she does have a link, yeah, where you can download texture map templates. So I hope that helps. We have millions of products in the catalog. And it's always helpful when you can start with a base product like this. That's kind of what you're looking for with details and texture map templates to help you along. The next thing I wanted to talk about, let's go back to this fall plaid product here. And I'm just going to derive from this. Well, let me derive from this base product. I think it's a better example. So here we go. Once you hit Derive, now you are in edit mode. And notice my avatar that I was dressed up in, I'm still dressed up as that avatar, except for the body parts that are part of the product I'm editing. So I still have my wings, I still have my head, and all the particle systems. And that's always going to be the case. You're always going to come in with the avatar that you're dressed up as, with your editable product as a replacement. So first, before we sort of dive into anything else, I just wanted to go through with everyone some tips on moving your camera around. If you have an older laptop that you're trying to create with, I highly, highly, highly recommend you plugging a mouse into it and not using the trackball. There are a lot of different camera controls that you're just not going to be able to get to with trackballs on older laptops. With newer laptops, like, if you have a MacBook Pro, trackpads work really well. But I'd highly recommend a mouse. And with that being said, the way that the camera controls work in IMVU Studio, I'm right-handed. If I do a normal left click and hold on my mouse and move around, if you notice, no matter where I move, either left or right or up and down, the avatar or the furniture product, if you're working on a piece of furniture, will always be in the center of the screen, no matter where I move. So that's just with a simple left click and hold. I can kind of get to whatever angle I want with looking at my product. If you want to zoom in and out, this is another reason, highly recommend a trackball with a scroll wheel. Moving the scroll wheel in and out will zoom you in and out of the product, and you can get pretty up close all the way to where you start intersecting with the with your product. And sometimes that's really important because it helps you look inside of the product if you need to look at the other side of the geometry. So zoom in and out with the scroll wheel, and left click, and you can basically orbit around your avatar without losing focus on it. Now, the last bit of camera control is if you right click and hold. If you right click and hold, you'll basically skew away from your avatar. So I'm going to skew over here. And now if I left click and hold, I'm now orbiting around the center, a center point where my camera is looking at. I'm no longer orbiting around my avatar. And sometimes that's helpful, especially if you're working on furniture or if you're working on a large room. You need to get to different places in the room and look at things in slightly different ways. You can get to some interesting angles this way. If you want to get back to orbiting directly around the avatar, if you notice in all rooms, if I zoom way out, there are different room nodes in our base room, and so I can just click on any of these room nodes, and when I do that, I'm back orbiting around the avatar. So that's an easy way to get back to it. So I hope those tips help everyone out in navigation. Again, plug a mouse in. It helps out quite a bit. Now, for those of you who have never created before, once you find something to derive from and you find a product similar to this that you want to start texture mapping over, we're not going to go into how to create the textures themselves. We have lots of tutorials on that on the Creator Education Center. But just very quickly, what you're mostly going to be concentrating on is this first component over on the left. We have IMVU Studio divided into different components. The first component is the material section, and that's where you're going to import your texture maps. We also have the mesh section if you're creating products from scratch for meshes. Actions, if you're creating animations, that's where you're going to be importing those. We have a particle system built into IMVU Studio. And then we have a section or a component for scaling your avatar. But for beginners that are just doing texture mapping, you're pretty much going to be staying right here in the material section. And if you notice, this creator that created this base product, he sort of color coded everything very nicely. So like I know for a fact that these are the sleeves. Makes it really easy. A lot of our mesher creators will do that, just so that you're not kind of trying to guess at which of these materials represents which part of the body. So you click a material, and if you notice, as I'm clicking on the different materials, the information over here on the right changes. This is the inspector panel, and this represents all of the parameters of this particular material. So I'm going to go back to the arms just shortly. And if I'm in Photoshop and I create textures for the arms, when I'm ready to import it, you just come over here to the diffuse map, click on Add Image, and you'll basically get your chooser. And these are room textures, but I think it'll serve the purpose. You just choose the texture that you want to replace, and click on it, and now that texture has been replaced, and you can always access it here. As soon as you hit preview, then you'll see the change to your avatar. Notice now the arms have been updated. One really nice feature in IMVU Studio is the fact that all of the inherited images are still here for you to pick if you need to, and all of the images that you've already imported will always be in the product images so that you can get back to them. So if for whatever reason, if I wanted to get back to this, I can just choose it, hit preview, and it'll go back to where I was before. There's also undo and redo buttons as well if you need to go backwards and forwards. Another really nice tip, if you haven't already discovered it, for those of you who have been using IMVU Studio, is let's say I'm looking at this texture map. As soon as I choose, material, as soon as I choose another material in the list, that texture map will, the texture map pop-up will disappear, because now I'm looking at a different texture. And if I open this, it represents the material for that texture. But let's say I wanted to leave this open. All I have to do is hit the little pin here. And if I wanted to kind of use that as a reference and then move to another material and open that material, this one will stay open as long as I have that pin there. So it's very nice if you're trying to compare and contrast a couple different texture maps, or maybe I'm working on the body and the arms at the same time and I'm updating textures. I can just leave these open. It doesn't matter what I choose, they'll stay open until I unpin them, and then they'll disappear. The last thing about materials, let's say I created all of the materials for this outfit and I just want to import everything at the same time. You can do that by this little function up here, import assets. It's up in the top left corner. And when I click on that, I can choose as many texture map assets as I want, JPEGs or PNGs. For those of you that have been using IMVU Studio for a while, you can also choose XRF files, or XMF mesh files or animation files, any files you want, and you can import them all at the same time. As soon as you hit open, oh, I already imported that. As soon as you hit open, if you notice, it switched to my asset list over here, and I can see all of the assets that I've imported. Going back over to the component panel, now if I choose a material that I want to import from and open the texture list, notice that all of the assets that I just imported are represented here, and I can choose any one of them. So it makes it a lot easier if you need to bulk import all of your assets, and then it makes very quick work to basically go down the list and update your assets on your avatar like that. This is going to be a very ugly avatar, but there you go. I think the point is made. I'm going to go back a few steps here.
Hey, Tauntaun, somebody was asking about they see transparency on the legs, but I am not seeing that. But I'm wondering what they may be referring to. Can you spin the avatar around?
Oh yeah, there is a little bit of transparency here.
Oh, right there. It looks like a
product, yeah.
Oh, that. Yeah, that looks like a seam in the geometry to me.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of just picked this product out of the bag, so I'm not sure what that is. So that kind of covers just picking materials and working in the materials section. Again, there are a lot of other advanced sections that we're probably not going to get to today. But the next thing I wanted to talk about briefly is a set of shortcuts that we recently brought into, I think it was the version right before 1.0. But if you go to your help menu and you click on keyboard shortcuts, this will bring you to the list of all the keyboard shortcuts that you can use without having to touch the mouse. And I'll just go through a few of them right now and leave the rest to you to explore. And please let us know which ones are helpful. And we're always looking for recommendations for keyboard shortcuts that you want us to add, or maybe even stuff that you want us to change. But some of the keyboard shortcuts that I like to use quite a bit. The first one is preview. Control P will basically do a preview for you. You're always updating and previewing your avatar, so that's a very important keyboard shortcut. The next one is, let's say I'm in the material list here, and especially if I'm working on a room product. Sometimes room products have 20 or 30 different materials. If I hold down the Alt key, and I'm on a PC, it's slightly different for Mac, but for PC, if I hold down the Alt key and while I'm hitting either the J or K keys, I can actually go up and down from component to component. And then if I hold down the Control key and the JK keys, I can actually move from material to material pretty easily without having to hit the mouse button. And that's actually really helpful if I'm actually looking for something in particular, or if I want to really quickly compare the settings in the inspector panel from material to material. That Control JK, if I move down to mesh, works with any of the assets inside of a component. So these are all the different meshes, and I can actually move up and down pretty easily from mesh to mesh.
Yeah, that's a great feature I haven't taken full advantage of yet. Yeah,
definitely. Next quick shortcut key is if you hit Control and then the number keys. Control and then number 1 takes you back to home. Control number 2 takes you to your first product that's open, and moving on down the numbers, depending on how many products you have open, you can switch between tabs that way really quickly. Very helpful if you're working on 2 products at the same time. You can switch between the 2. We kind of stole that from browsers, if you're familiar, if you use that functionality with browsers and tabs. So the next topic I wanted to get to is what I'm calling dress up. And what this basically means is there is a whole section in IMVU Studio that allows you to dress up your avatar in any way using any product that you own. It will not affect the product that you're editing, and it's just for reference, but creators will often want to create using their own background room. They'll often want to, if they're creating a top, they will often want to put on a bottom or pants that maybe they're working on tops and bottoms at the same time. You can dress your avatar to be able to compare and see what things look like. The way that you get to that is right next to the inspector panel is the inventory panel, and you should be able to find all of the products that you own here. There's a search field, and then there's also a set of filters, which is very powerful. If you click on this little button right here on the left, you'll get to your inventory filters. And from there, you can actually sort or filter between all the different product types. For instance, if I wanted to put on a different top on my avatar, try that again. Oh, that must be overridden. Oh, let me go to this product, and I'll do a hair product. So the product that I am editing is replacing the body products, so it's allowing me to change the hair product. I could also change the hands or the shoes because it doesn't interfere with the product that I'm editing. But you can go through any product that that won't conflict with the product you're editing, you can dress up your avatar in different ways in that way. Now, you can also change your background room. If there's a particular room that you always like to edit in, you can choose any room that you happen to own, and it'll load that room and update that room for you. And then you're still working on this product, but it just kind of gives you a background to work with.
Yeah, I think one of our guests, Alex, had asked if we were going to have the capability of using decorated rooms, but right now it's just room shells. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Right now, we only have access to room shells, but it is on our list to add the ability to bring in decorated rooms. In the meantime, you can bring in a room shell, and you can furnish it. If there are a couple pieces of furniture that you use all the time, maybe you want to see the way your avatar is sitting, and you want to bring in a chair or something like that, you can do that. And let me just give you an example of that real quick. If I switch to searching for furniture, furniture is a bit unique because as soon as I hit furniture, it will take me into this furniture decoration mode. Of course, again, it's only for reference. But then I can choose a product. It's Halloween, so I'll choose this cauldron, and I can grab products and move them around, place the products wherever I want. And then as soon as I go out of decoration mode, hit this little X here, the cauldron's there, and the room functions normally. Already pre-decorated rooms, that's on our list. We'll get that on there. That's a good question. Let's see, what do I have next here? Let's see, we talked about changing your inventory. We talked about changing rooms. We added a piece of furniture. The last thing that a lot of creators like to do is actually add secondary avatars. And we actually added a new feature here for 1.0 called actors. If you click down here on actors, you'll go into actor mode. If you notice, the avatar that I have under creation is still right here. And if I want to add another actor, I press the plus button here, and it will add another actor to the room. Again, it's just for reference. And if you notice, whatever actor I have here highlighted will also be highlighted in yellow here. That means that is the active avatar, and the reason that's important is because the active avatar you can actually move to any node you want. And in addition to that, your active avatar you can also dress in whatever inventory items that are in your catalog. So real quick, if I go here and I sort by my looks, I can dress my avatar. If I already have avatars that have a pre-look to them, I can dress my avatar that way. And I can change gender pretty easily too, if I want to change it to a male look. And to switch back and forth between the active avatar, you can either just click on the avatar itself and it will switch back and forth from actor to actor, or of course you can use the component panel, the left navigation, to switch back and forth between avatars. And you're not limited to just two. If I want to, I can add as many avatars as I want, and I can dress them all up. And you can probably have a lot of fun without having to publish anything if you really wanted to. But all of these actors can be dressed up differently. And then the last little tip I'd like to just tell you about, let's say you're working on a really large room and you kind of lost where your avatar is. If you, over in the left navigation again, if you go to the avatar that you've lost, let's say I lost my main avatar, and click in the little drop-down menu here, click on Center on Screen, it will actually center the avatar back on the screen for you. And you can do that with any of your actors or your avatar. One word of warning: if you have a bunch of avatars set up and you have furniture set up in a room, and you decide to go in and you decide to change your room, you're going to lose all of that. And there's kind of no good way around that, because in different rooms, there's a different number of seat nodes. Seat nodes are in different places. And so if you switch to a different room, I'll do that as an example, you're going to lose your lose all your settings. So please keep that in mind. Make sure you're working with the room that you want to work with before you start adding a bunch of stuff. Last thing I wanted to go over is inside of edit mode, at least, is taking snapshots. If you're familiar with IMVU and you've been a creator, you know that snapshots are very important. And we have two very unique ways of making snapshots that don't require you to doing a screen grab, with a third-party software. So I'm going to use my avatar here as an example. If you go over to the camera mode up here in the top left, you have a drop down and you have two selections. One of them is a snapshot, snap. It's going to take a high resolution image. I think it's like 2K by 2K, but it can actually go all the way up to 4K by 2K image. A very, very large image, and it doesn't matter what the resolution of your monitor is. It's going to take a much larger resolution than that. So when I click that, it will always save your image to your IMVU Studio Projects folder, which is always in your Documents folder. So Documents, IMVU Studio Projects, and then there's going to be a little subfolder in there called Snapshots. And that's where you can get to that image. The other type of image that you can take is Snapshot No Background. And this one's very powerful because it will take a snapshot of the product that you're editing. And if it's an avatar product, that's going to be the whole avatar. And it's going to make an alpha channel out of the background and everything else. So I'll do an example of that as well. Take that snapshot, and I'm going to go to my images folder real quick and show you guys. So Documents, IMVU Studio Projects, and it's in the same place in both Mac and PC. And let me go to Snapshots. And yeah, so here is a snapshot that I took. There's it figures you take a snapshot and there's a butterfly in the way. Huh? But this is a
photobombed by a butterfly.
Right. But this is a very, very high resolution image, if you notice. So if you're taking an image and you need to crop it down, you're still going to get a very, very high resolution out of it. And then the second image example is this one here. Notice it's taking a picture of your whole avatar and everything the avatar is wearing, minus the background. That's going to be a PNG file, and it's going to have a built-in alpha channel, so it's going to be really easy to work with if you take it into Photoshop. All right, closing that up.
Hey, one more thing before you move on.
Sure.
Vanessa missed. Well, a couple people wanted to see a couple things. Vanessa wanted to see where you click to get to the filters. I think it was for inventory.
Oh, the inventory filters. Yeah. It's maybe we should make this button a little bit bigger.
It needs to be a little bigger. Yes, yeah. Kind of tiny.
So yeah, you can kind of see like three little dials like over here on the left. That's actually a button, and if you click on that, that opens up your filters. And notice any pop-up panel, whether it be the texture maps that I was telling you about before, or any panel at all, is always going to have a pin. So if I wanted to leave my filters open and go back to the inspector panel and move around, it's going to keep those filters open in case I wanted to leave them open.
And then And then a couple more things while we're looking at inventory.
Sure.
A couple of people have asked if you have a published product or an unpublished product, something you just submitted but not published, and they want to wear that product while they're making a second piece of clothing, like say a pantsuit outfit or something like that. They want to know if they can see the unpublished product in their inventory and be able to wear it while they're developing the other product. And I think we've got a fix coming for that. Is that right?
Yes, that is actually a bug, and it's not working quite right in IMVU Studio. There's some permissions with our asset server, which is probably a good thing. That we have very tight permissions on our asset server technology, but that is being worked on as we speak, actually. And if it doesn't come out in the release coming up, which I think is going to be in a few days. It'll be in the following release. We'll try to get that fixed for you guys really quickly, because I know that that's kind of a big hindrance to workflow, especially if you're working on multiple products at the same time.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Great question. All right, next section, which I'll go through really quickly. When you're ready to publish your product, the first thing you need to do is go into your info panel. And I wanted to talk a few seconds on the thumbnail image. This thumbnail image is required. And the thumbnail image must be 100 pixels by 80 pixels. We don't automatically create this image yet. And the reason it's here is for the old web catalog. It's a requirement for publishing because when you publish a product, it's publishing it to the old web catalog, as well as our new desktop and mobile shops and catalogs. But this thumbnail image is required, and I know it's a little bit of pain in the butt to make an image that's 100 pixels by 80. But don't forget to do this. We made it in red for you, just in case you did forget. And we're actually working on ways to automate this and make it a little bit easier to create these thumbnails in IMVU Studio if you're looking to create an image really quickly. The next thing is the name. You got to put in the name of your product. The type and the categories will usually be correct already if you have derived, if you derive off of the top, your category is going to be tops. If you derive off of the bottom, category is going to be bottoms, etc. There's also a compatibility field. I would not mess around with this unless you sort of know what you're doing. But basically, 80 means female and 191 means male. Those are our base products, base male and female products. You can add to that compatibility, or you can change the compatibility. But again, that's a little more advanced. You always have to put in your profit. So as an example, if I put in a profit of 200, it's going to fill out the rest of the fields. The total price, this is the price that your customers are going to be paying for your product. And then down here on the bottom are the one-time fees. These are the fees that you as a creator will be charged when you submit this product. Those are your submission fees, if you will. It's always encouraged to write out keywords. That's going to really help people search for your product. Keywords can be each keyword can be up to 30 letters, and you can just separate those by commas. And you can put in as many keywords as you want. Last section is your visibility controls. The first control, which you can turn on and off, this either allows or disallows other creators to derive off of your product. Sometimes you don't want creators to be deriving off of your product, and sometimes you do. So that's why that control's there. This is a very powerful switch. It either allows or disallows the product to be visible and searchable in the catalog. So if you want to hide your product from the catalog, let's say you're building a product that you only want to wear yourself, you can turn this off. It will, once you publish it, it will be in your catalog. You can wear it, but it won't be visible to anyone else in the community. You can also make your product display only. This means it will be in the catalog, but it's not for sale. That's a display only product. And then last but not least, creators and the community can actually make bundles of products and publish that bundle of products as a new PID that can be sold. So if you want to allow your product to be included in a bundle, you can have this on, or if you want to disallow it, you can turn it off. So that's basically the info panel. Once this is all filled out, you hit submit, and your product will go into peer review. And then once it's through peer review, it'll become for sale in the shop. The last thing I wanted to talk about is preferences. We have a small number of preferences right now. but this list is going to be growing and growing and growing as we expand the tool set. But I just wanted to go through the existing preferences right now for you in case you didn't know about them. The first one is a toggle to turn on or off auto updating of assets. So if I open a texture map that's already in IMVU Studio, if I open that texture map in Photoshop, make a change and save it, IMVU Studio will automatically update that texture map. And I just hit preview and it updates. If for some reason you don't want IMVU Studio to be watching and auto updating the assets that you make changes to, you can turn this off here. You can also toggle the tooltips. If you notice, there's when you hover over anything, there's a small tooltip to help you out. You can turn those off here. And then the last one, which is a really powerful feature, whenever a creator derives from a new product, basically creates a new draft, you can choose what default room you want to load in conjunction with the product that you're editing. Of course, this doesn't work if you're actually editing a room product, but any product you own will show up in this list, and you can actually choose it as your default room. Our two default rooms that are sort of the defaults when you open IMVU Studio for the first time is sort of a light and a dark room. The light room is equivalent to what you see on mobile and what you see on IMVU Desktop. It has the same lighting, so you can get a good representation of what your product's going to look like when people are looking at it in 3D in those products. And then there's also a default dark room, which is just easier on the eyes. But the dark room has exactly the same lighting as the light room does. So you can switch between these two, or you can choose your own. And then if you usually submit your products with these submission settings that I was just talking about a few minutes ago in a certain configuration, you can set this up as a default configuration. So any new product, any new draft that you start will start with the buttons in this configuration. And last but not least, there's been a number of creators that were wondering, how do I log out? Because I have a number of alts and I want to be able to log out and log back in as an alt and create products with my alt account. And you can find that in help. So go to help, and then at the bottom of help is a place where you sign out, and then you can sign back in again as another account. And that's about all the time we have. I actually had to skip a few things, but I hope that this was helpful to everyone. Again, I've just barely scratched the surface, but we have a creator education center and a brand new one at that. And that's something that Drosselmeyer is going to talk to you about right now. So I'll hand it off to you, Drossel.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
I've got just a few minutes left here, so I will jump right in. Let me share my screen.
Feel free to go over time if we need to.
Okay, well, hopefully this shouldn't take too long. It's pretty straightforward. If you haven't visited the new Creator Education Center yet, it's still the same URL, create.imvu.com. And we've made a few big improvements to this. One of the biggest improvements was just organization of the main page and the layout. I'm going to give you a brief tour. First off, as I mentioned, the layout has changed. We've grouped things into sections that make it a little more easy to digest what's on the homepage when you land here. And how that's the basic layout is a quick start for getting creators into making a product. The basics of getting started. This is pretty similar to what the getting started was on the old page. And then we've created this learning section, which goes into more detail on all the different things you can, learn. And it is laid out more like a classwork frame where you move from one set of ideas and information, and then work from basic stuff to more advanced stuff as you get more into it. all the old content is still available, so nothing's been deleted. All the pages, the original pages from the original site can be found here in the Classic Creator Legacy Docs. So if you had visited the old site, this is all the categories you would have seen on the homepage. And this is one reason why we moved to this new layout, because this is kind of daunting. If you're a new creator, you're kind of going, well, where do I begin? Well, there's get started in basics, but then after that, I'm not quite sure. So that was a big motivator for going to this layout, where you kind of get fewer, not overwhelmed with as many topics as once. At least that's the feedback we've gotten. That's kind of what we've hoped would be the case. One area on here, besides learning, and I'll go into that a little bit more in a second, is there's a great reference section here. And under here, you'll find reference things like a glossary, a FAQ, the tutorials section, technical tutorials. We've got a couple in here so far, one on shininess and one on normal maps. I think I directed somebody who was asking about this in the chat to these things that go into more details about how these things actually work, not just how to make them or how to use them. And then all the learning sessions that we're doing, like this one we're recording right here, are in this area. And then the other big improvement to the Education Center is the tutorials themselves. So in this learning section, we've created updated and new tutorials. We've taken a lot of the content from the old tutorials and trying to coalesce them into smaller, easier to digest tutorials, and change the layout to be basically a video at the top. There'll always be at the top, and then a written step-by-step of how to do and how to go through what is covered in the video. So that gives a couple ways people can learn how to do the various things you would want to do in IMVU Studio. I think that's pretty much it. Of course, always there's the download page. So you click right here and go right to the Studio downloads. There's a little bit about Studio, but then the actual downloads are right here. And let's see, I think that's about all I need to show you about this. That kind of covers it. And I think we still got some, I think we still got some time for some questions here.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been going down and sort of by text answering a few questions. But yeah, if anyone wants to grab one.
Well, there was one question I thought it would actually be good to bring up while you were talking about the inventory. And this was, let's see if I can find it here. There are a couple people. Oh, it was about categories. So a couple people are asking are we going to be able to, or are you expanding the categories to get more specific? So like right now we have tops, but they want to know if like we can, if you could put in jacket or jackets. And I thought maybe we could cover that live.
I did type in an answer for that just because it was the first one on the list.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it's a great question. The categories in Studio right now match the categories on mobile and desktop, which are very, very sort of high level categories, as everyone has seen. We're planning for an expansion of categories soon, but we kind of wanted to start with the clean slate that's on mobile and desktop. In the classic client, categories sort of got like way out of control, and we're trying to we're trying to get control back over the list of categories. So we are going to expand the category list with much more subcategories in the near future. But for right now, the base categories in mobile and desktop match the base categories in the classic client, but we're not going much further out from the base categories for right now. We know it's an issue, and we're going to be working on that soon.
Yeah, there was another question here about high-res no BG. Gail asks, taking high-res no BG pics are great now with the button, but they want to know about choosing poses like they can in the client. And you can do that. You would just choose a pose, either avatar or like a pose product in the inventory in Studio, and you could get to it that way. I got that right.
Yeah, it's sort of like a little chat window down the bottom. Well, here, actually, you know what? You can show. I can show you. We have the power. Let's see. Do I still have? Yeah, I still have, because I know that this avatar has some trigger actions, right? Pose products or trigger actions. Down here in the bottom right, whatever you happen to be wearing, just go over here to triggers, and you can choose, you can trigger whatever action you want, whether it be a still pose or an animation. But that's where you'll find it. We're actually thinking about, though, bringing back being able to right click or click directly on the avatar and have it bring up a menu like the old client does. Not really sure if we're going to do that yet, but that's definitely an option we're looking at. But for right now, it's down here in the bottom right.
And then an anonymous attendee asked about deriving avatars and adding XAFs. Kind of an open-ended question, but yes, you can absolutely derive avatars. And yeah, you're still able to, and if you create XAFs, like animation files, mesh files, material files, all those can be brought into Studio as well.
Right. Yeah, like I said, we sort of really glossed over some of the more advanced sections, like the animation section, but that you can import there, or you can use if you want to import animations in bulk, you can do that the same way that I showed, that you can import texture maps in bulk, so that you can have them all in your project and then just make your animations and add them a lot easier. Let's see what's next.
Well, there's one about emojis. Let's see. I'm gonna ruin your name. I'm sorry, Papavici. Gabriel asks, when will we be able to put emojis in the name of a product directly from IMVU Studio? Can you do that, like through using a copy paste, like a ASCII character?
That was actually a bug in an earlier version of Studio, but in 1.03, I think that's been fixed. We'll go back and look at that and make sure. You should be able to. About a couple versions ago, we divorced the name of your project folder from what you're naming your project, and we went back to your project folder is now named just a number, and it's going to be like the PID number that it was derived from, or the PID, or like you'll notice if you go into your project folder. And the reason we did that was specifically so that you could add like non-standard Unicode characters in the name again, like you could before. But I've made a note of that. I'll make sure we check that out, make sure it's still available.
Cool. And then Cheryl is asking about number of tabs that you have open in Studio. Right now we limit to 4, and that's for performance reasons. But then she's saying that some people have multiple tabs open, like up to 8 if you're doing like several sizes on a product. I would think we could look at that, right? And
yeah. We can definitely do that. We've limited it to 4 right now, just with the 1.0 release, just because we really want things to stabilize before we start letting everyone go hog wild. So yeah, it's mainly for performance right now, but we'll be opening that up in the near future.
And then Jackie has a question about changing the option for the submit panel to make it default, and that is basically the published preferences. We don't do any kind of default for the entire info panel, but just
not for the entire panel, just for the submission options.
I mean, that's a great idea because quite often I do a lot of testing, and so I end up using the same thumbnail over and over again. And it'd be kind of nice to have that just default to a certain thumbnail. So yeah, I could see that being a good thing.
Yeah, definitely thumbnail.
Maybe profit,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we could default, have a default for profit pretty easily. You probably wouldn't want to do that with categories, just because all products are different. But yeah, we'll make a note of that, and see if we can expand that a little bit for everyone.
Okay, I think that is all the questions I see.
Great. Thank you so much, Drosselmeyer and Tantan, for sharing your expertise.
Yeah, great questions too.
Yeah, great questions from everybody.
You guys got to keep us on our toes.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you so much for your awesome questions and for attending. We hope that it was helpful for you. And a great thanks to Tantan and Drosselmeyer for being such helpful experts and for answering everybody's questions.
Yeah, no problem. Someone did ask to see the shortcut keys page again. And I did say that I will put an actual help page up for that on our CEC. And that should be very easy to do. I'll do that right after this meeting. The URL, I don't have a URL for it yet, but it'll be in the reference section.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was good to remind me of that, because that's really something that should be on the CEC page.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I found it by going to the hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner and then going to help. And then I think in the help section there, or the help menu, there was the keyboard shortcuts. At least that's how I found it. But I think having an article out there for everybody would be great.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks everyone. Really appreciate it. And a recording of this session will be up soon, and we will be having more of these in the future. So stay tuned. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody.